I think the concept of citizen journalism is that ordinary people can take the tools that formerly belonged to the press, to big media, and use them to report on events that they eyewitness, or on issues and other things that are of concern to them, and do it in a way that is not just on a small scale, but actually use the internet to do it broadly, and actually to kind of broadcast globally. Now, they may not have the reach of big media, but it's the potential there for them to use those kind of tools to accomplish journalism, even on a small scale. And one of the things that citizen journalism does too is it challenges assumptions, and it challenges institutions, and it challenges a lot of norms that we have set up about what journalism is. So I think it's rewriting a lot of the rules, and we need to reconsider what is journalism? What does it mean to be a journalist? And what role do regular people have in that process? Where does professional journalism end and citizen journalism begin? Even among people who blog a lot, they don't necessarily think that what they're doing is journalism, nor they really want to be considered journalists in any kind of way. So I don't think you're going to find that everyone out there has some deep desire to be a journalist.
When I started writing for it, it was right when blogs were starting to get to be a really big deal, and I never wanted to write my own stuff. I never was confident enough, I guess, to get on and start my own blog. So the Austinist, what's really great about it is it's a collaborative effort. It's a group of people who kind of come together, and each person has a voice, but at the same time you kind of write as a whole. Each of our articles has a comment section where people are able to write whatever their thoughts or opinions, whether they're good or bad, and oftentimes they're good and bad in the same thing, and we'll get hundreds and hundreds of comments on one post sometimes. So there is a lot of community interaction, as well as the contributors who are all volunteers. There's also people who come in and comment on various articles and stories. Being able to connect with all these people who are like-minded people who spend time in Austin. They enjoy talking about Austin, thinking about Austin, talking about what's going to happen and what's already happened, trying to figure out solutions. And it is kind of people just getting together and kind of writing their own feelings and thoughts exclusively about the city they live in, which is pretty cool.
I read, like a popular blog that I read is like President all the time. I'm pregnant, so I read celebrity baby blog. And I sometimes read something called the Austinist. I will check in to see if I'm looking for something to do or something like that on the weekend. I'll check in. I mean, I even found them one time because I think they had recommended a show that I was in. So that's like, so ever since then I'll look it up because it's like I trust them.
I mean, it's just a different platform, I guess, for delivering information, and I think it's good because it presents a lot of things that I guess a state then kind of passes over, and so it's just it's an extension of the media coverage that happens.
So just the same way that you can check New York Times every day, the print. It's harder to check the print when I can check the Austinist in like 5 minutes, So, I think it helps a lot.
Yeah,
it's definitely affected this, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, and I mean, the website is just like cleaner than, the Statesman website is like, it's not as cleanly designed, and it's not as nice, and it's just, it's easier to interface with the Austinist website, I think it's a different demographic that uses it because of it, I'm sure there's crossover, but, there's definitely going to be people that aren't going to check the Statesman that are going to check the Austinist,
I have it on my little Google Reader, and every once in a while I'll go through, and I don't get the paper anymore because I don't get the paper anymore. So for local news and such like that, I enjoy it. And there's a couple of my students. I teach at Texas State photography department. There's a couple of my students that photograph for them. So check in and see what they're doing, what pictures they're choosing, and all that kind of stuff. So people can actually put up a blog for no money at all, unless they just need access to a computer, which I guess is a stepping stone in some way, and have a certain amount of literacy. But you can get your stuff out there, and somebody in Peoria can see what you're doing in Texas instantly, and it becomes something of a social networking phenomenon in some ways. But there's a lot of photographers and a lot of artists that have gained a lot of new audiences that wouldn't have happened before. You know, I think the wonderful thing about the internet and something that happens with photography and art and all that business is that it gives you different modes of transmission, and so not just an elite can dispense news or whatever information. So it seems to me that the more people taking the news in their own hands seems like a good thing to me. You know, it seems like what artists do or whatever.
People, because we are so media saturated and we have so increasingly we can do more and more with our cell phones and other tools that we interact with every day. As we do that, I think we're simply creating more and more information, and it'll be far easier in the future to communicate that information broadly beyond just our own small circle of friends, our neighbors, and actually broadcast that out in a way that could be picked up by larger groups of people. So in that sense, yes, I think you could see more of this kind of citizen journalism, but I think that sort of what form it takes is very much an open question. And whether we even consider it journalism anymore is also another question. I think a lot of it is just citizen information. User-generated content is really, I think, is going to be the future. Whether and how it involves journalism is an open question.